In this video, we'll consider two similar but different examples with compound fractions. In another video, we discussed the importance of identifying the overall algebraic structure of mathematical expressions. That's the overall structure of this expression. Well, these two examples are actually simpler than the one considered in that video. But this is one of those common situations in mathematics where simpler actually means more difficult. That's because simplicity often makes it harder to see the structure of objects. And that's exactly what's going on here. So what I invite you to do now is to take a moment and analyze these expressions and describe out loud, that's important, the structure of these objects. Well, here's what I'm seeing. In the first example, I see a fraction over a number. And how do I see it? Well, the main giveaway is the width of this bar. This bar right here is wider than this bar. Therefore, it groups 2 and 3 together in the numerator, where they form a fraction of 2/3, and the 4 is all by itself in the denominator. Yes, it's also true that the 4 is in a larger font, but you can't always rely on that. Elements and fractions come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, but you can always rely on the width of the bar. If these two bars were the same width, then this expression would be ambiguous and therefore mathematically invalid. Something like that could never happen in a valid mathematical expression. The bars should always be different sizes, making it clear what's on top and what's on the bottom. And here we have a fraction on top and a number on the bottom, and that's the overall algebraic structure of this expression. Now let's turn our attention to the second example, where we have a number over a fraction. And how do I see that? Well, once again, this bar is wider than this bar. Therefore, we have a 2 on top and 3/4 on the bottom. A number divided by a fraction. So while these expressions may appear very similar at first glance, they're actually very different. Their algebraic structures are as different as they can be. Here we have a fraction by a number, and here we have a number by a fraction. And that's why their values will be completely different. There are two ways to approach this expression. First is to artificially convert the 4 into a fraction. Make it 4 over 1. And the advantage of this approach is that we know exactly what to do when dividing by a fraction. We must multiply by the reciprocal. So this expression becomes 2/3 times 1/4, which is 2/12 or 1 over 6. And the problem is solved. But there is an even better way to approach this expression, and that's to think of it this way. We have 2 divided by 3, which is then further divided by 4. So imagine having 2 kilograms of some substance, and you're dividing into 3 parts, so now each part is 2 over 3 kilograms, and then you take each one of those parts and divide it into 4 parts. So now we have a total of 12 parts, and so each part is 2 over 12 kilograms. And this way of thinking makes it clear that 3 and 4 must be multiplied together in the denominator. So the answer is 2/12 or 1/6. Let's write down this answer, but it is very important to line it up with this bar, because it is this bar that is the algebraic center of this expression. It's not here, it's right here. It's this line that separates the top from the bottom. And the fact that the object on top is tall is not important. The important part is that we have a top and a bottom, and this is the middle. So this is where the 1/6 goes. Now, with this expression, we know exactly what to do, because here we're dividing a number by a fraction, and when we divide by a fraction, we must multiply by the reciprocal. So this becomes 2 times 4/3 or 8/3. And here, the answer must be lined up with this bar, which is the algebraic center of this expression. So once again, as always, identifying the structure of the expression is the key to answering the question. And we will see this over and over again in the problems to come. Hey, thanks for watching. Click on this logo to check out our complete SAT math platform. And if you know someone studying for the SATs, please let them know about it. Thank you. Hey, got it on the very first.